Hey YouTube, this is Evergreen Stater, and to be honest, I've been contemplating about doing this video all day, and I honestly didn't want to do this one, and the next one I really hadn't wanted to do either, but unfortunately I feel like I have to do this because this is gonna tie into something that's been very disturbing. I tend to frequent citydata.com. I'm not going to tell you my username, ever. Sorry, you're not going to get that here on YouTube. I'm just not going to tell you. But, well, in particular, I've been perusing the forums I've been perusing the Milwaukee forums, the Chicago forums, Minneapolis, Grand Rapids, politics and controversy, and to be honest, some of this is giving me a very sick feeling in my stomach right now. Because recently there was an incident in the Riverwest section of Milwaukee, and what happened was you got a bunch of youths who went, I think they went into a store in Riverwest, stormed the place, beat up a bunch of people, and I looked at what was happening. I looked at the video and it was quite sickening. It was sickening to me because I had a feeling of embarrassment. I mean, I'm going to be honest. And I'm going to have to do what Bill Cosby did and air out the dirty laundry. The perpetrators in that incident were all African American. And unfortunately, this is not the only incident that has happened. This has happened in Chicago with a group of African American teenagers, young adults going onto the Gold Coast section of Chicago and beating up white people there, and that's not that. It's bad enough that these persons did that at all, no matter what race they were. This is wrong. You don't go attacking anybody for any reason. And from what I read, some people were claiming, quote unquote, yeah, white people bleed a lot. Stupid. And no, yeah, it doesn't end there. It happened back in January at Mayfair. Again, African American youths going into the Mayfair Mall in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. And, you know, when I looked at the incident, and I'm thinking, how embarrassing. But the first thing I'm thinking is, where were the parents? Where were the parents? Why weren't the parents looking after these kids properly? Alright? You know? That's part of the problem, why they probably did it. These kids were doing it. You know why I bring this up? Because it's embarrassing, believe it or not. You know, bad enough that they're going around disturbing people. Anyone, they shouldn't, you know. I'm not sure if the Mayfair incident was a racialized incident. All I know, it was probably just mob violence, mob stealing, and just acting stupid in general. You know, that was just general stupidity. But incident in Chicago, incident in that just happened in Riverwest, and it's like, great. You know, bad enough these persons go attack anybody. But let's be honest. The attackers going around attacking white people, that just goes and gives them another reason. This is going to bring out all the haters. Because you got a lot of people out there who are willing to hate on black people. And when you got stuff like that happening, it just confirms everything that they believe. Because, I'm going to set the record straight. Most of us African Americans, we're not going out doing that stuff. Not all of us do that. Most of us don't do that. In fact, majority of us are not involved in stuff like that. Stuff like that is like freak occurrences. As far as I know. I'm not in the inner city, hardly ever. I live down in the Atlanta area. I rarely go into Atlanta myself. Because I don't have a car. I don't have transportation to get into Atlanta that easily. It takes 2 buses from where I live to get to a MARTA station. However, that aside, this stuff, it's embarrassing to me because it might come back on me. I'm African American. I don't get myself involved in mob action like that involving stealing and hurting people. I don't do that. And to those teenagers who did that, let me tell you something. You are dead wrong for what you did. And to some of the to the persons in the Riverwest incident, I'm glad your parents turned you in. Because you know what? I got an update on the incident. Some of the parents turned them kids in. I'm glad that parents decided to take some responsibility, turn the kids in, let them know there are real consequences for stuff that you do. Of course, this is the thing. My message is not necessarily going to fall on deaf ears, but the persons that this message is directed to are probably going to be the ones who don't care. Oh, sure, there are black people who are going to listen and we're going to agree and say, yes, you shouldn't attack anybody for the color of their skin. You shouldn't go out and commit crimes, period. You shouldn't hurt anyone. You shouldn't steal. Our black youth shouldn't be doing that because it's not productive. They should be in school getting educated. They should be striving for better. There are people who will listen to me. But the persons who need to listen the most are often the people who don't care, who have this certain nihilism that angers me. In fact, I think this nihilism is probably part of the reason black on black crime is so bad. Because there are some people who will probably think in the back of their heads, about black people killing their own people, and it's like, I have a perfectly good explanation for why this happens. Part of this is social engineering. Because I'm not trying to excuse this, I'm trying to educate people so maybe people will hear me out and they won't do this to other people. This black on black crime. We had another incident in Chicago during the holiday. A bunch of people got stabbed and killed. Many got injured. Right now everything's a blur. But it pisses me off. It pisses me off for many reasons. The incidents that have happened in Milwaukee and Chicago. It's pissed me off because it gives the haters out there a reason to hate black people. Bad enough they're out there, you don't need to give them any more venom to use. B, morally they're wrong for what they're doing. Morally, these people are wrong. It's bad when you do it to, bad when you do it to other black people. It's bad when you do it to white people. It's bad you do it to anyone. It's bad when anyone does it to anyone. And it's embarrassing because you got groups of people doing that stuff. I have sort of a mixed view on this. Morally I know it's wrong. And I would never wish that on anyone. My big think about embarrassment / resentment, I'm gonna have to put this all out. In a way, I am a bit embarrassed, because these attackers that did what they did have pretty much embarrassed. They are I call them embarrassments to African Americans everywhere. They are embarrassments. I'm gonna quote Cameron Thayer. Cameron Thayer, he was a character from the movie Crash, played by Terrence Howard. A black carjacker came up, carjacked him, and then he managed to disassemble the carjacker and get him to stop. And in the end he said, "You embarrass me. You embarrass yourself." And I'm thinking, these attackers doing what they do embarrass us. They are embarrassments to the African American community up at large. Because majority of us do not do that. We don't do that crap. We're not gonna do that crap. We don't want to do that. Majority of us are not out murdering each other. Majority of us are not out stealing and robbing from anyone. Unfortunately, you got fools like that out in Riverwest. Now, and in Mayfair, and in the coastal area of Chicago. And, I think about this. These are all predominantly white areas this is happening in. You got black people going into predominantly white areas, attacking white people or doing stupid stuff. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Greenwood section of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where you had white people go attack African Americans and try to kill them. This has happened throughout history. Let me tell you something. Vengeance ain't gonna get you anywhere if that's the objective you're looking for. Just because it was done back in the day to black people doesn't mean that black people need to do it now. Because that is dead wrong. Quote Gandhi, "Eye for an eye makes the world blind." Dr. King would roll over in his grave right now if he saw the stuff that was happening. And as I get to the end of this video, I'm going to tell you this. If anybody is going to come, I encourage you to leave comments or even leave a video response, but please, if you're going to leave comments if you're going to leave comments that pretty much hate on all black people, or if you're going to leave all kinds of racial slurs, or if you're going to do any of that, I'm going to block you from ever watching my videos again. Because I am not shooting this video to have comments like that. I want real productive dialogue. Because this video is part of my way of dealing with this. Because I'm scared for the African Americans out there who are decent people, who do work hard, who are law-abiding, who just want to go about their daily life. Because when you have groups of people do crap like that, no one's going to pay attention to the people like me. No one's going to pay attention to regular Joe on the street. Nobody's going to pay attention to a regular African American professional. I'm sorry, I'm filming this from a basement. I literally thought this would be the only place in the school to get any peace and quiet. Unfortunately, it turns out people will even come down here too. Please ignore that right there. Please ignore the person who was just coming. But that's one of my biggest it's for everybody, my prayers go out to those people who had to deal with those attackers, because you shouldn't have to deal with that. And with that said, please do not use those attackers as a reference to all African Americans, because most of us don't do that. We're not all doing that. And my prayers are going to go out to African Americans who are just trying to live their lives. You know, who are just trying to get about their daily life without having to deal with, we're going to have to deal with stereotyping and getting looked at weird. It's happened to me. Some lady called the police on me once just because I looked upset. I didn't have to yell, shout, or make threats. All I had to do was look upset. And the cops were called. It's stuff like that that I don't want happening to people. And you know, my biggest fear is that that's going to happen. There's going to be even more wary mentality towards African Americans because of those attackers. And that's all I got to say about that. This is Evergreen Stater. You guys have a great day.